So the joke, the key line is it I'm not the joke you are? Or
Clearly never heard the song.
So in that song, I'm sorry, I didn't get past the train horn.
It's amazing how wrong he gets it.
I'm not the joke
my God, I love that.
I do want to shout out the collective, because we've built quite a wolf pack these past couple of weeks. And I love you wolves out there. I love you filth pigs out there, because everyone's telling us about this Billy Corgan podcast, which Corey was on this week. And even better is scrolling through the comments on that video, and you're seeing Wolfpack, you're seeing Cocoa Buns.
Cowards.
I love seeing everyone out there. I see your comments, especially when they're on other videos. Now, this Billy Corgan interview, it was clearly done a while ago. It was done before Low Serve Ill.
Low Serve Ill.
It was basically just as the joke music video, I think it just come out, or the song. So yeah, let's take a peek.
thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Nice to see you again.
Thank you.
We've
Good to see you again. Although we've only met once.
Not true.
Okay. Give
Not
me the
true.
second time.
No, we've met probably 10 or 12 times.
What? No way.
Absolutely. Swear to God.
I guess I was too sober.
That's not even close. That's not even like
Yeah, it wasn't like
in
I
the
was maybe like,
neighborhood.
what other time we met?
Yeah, no,
I met you like
exactly.
15 times. You said you were my best friend.
Yeah, but honestly, the way that happens, it feels staged to me. It's like when they go on like Fallon or one of those shows, and everything's already like pre-planned. It's almost like, we'll do this bit. Because why does he immediately come out the gate like, second time we met? And he's like, no, not really. 12th time maybe?
But I also fully believe that he just did that. He's like, no, we hung out all the time.
That's impossible.
Swear to God.
Okay, well,
Hand on heart.
I can tell you the first time, which was with Manson, which, I choose to try to forget. The second time.
Well, remember he has a feud with Marilyn Manson. I don't really, we talked about it. I don't remember a lot of the specifics around it. I should have double checked this earlier. I just wanted the cliff notes of what their beef was. But maybe he's just like us and he just doesn't like him.
Well, yeah, he was probably just coked out being a weirdo in Hollywood around him. And he's like, I'm the coked out weirdo.
Yeah. This is my game, see?
My interactions with you have always been great.
Yeah, I would say the same.
Thank you. So
What a great save, by the way,
Because I've
after not remembering that he's ever seen him more than one other time.
My
I would
interactions
say
with
I
you
feel
when
the
you said-
same way. That one time that I knew that we even met.
Yeah.
On one hand, I side with Feldman, if we're being fair, because Corey's looking at him like, oh, you're talking about mini interactions we've had where I probably just said, oh, hey, nice to meet you. And you're counting that as all these times we've met. What are you, a fucking fan? And then
But Corgan hit him with a 2 to 5 minute long conversation. He name dropped the length of the conversation. I got to side with Corgan in that world.
No, I do side with Corgan, but I'm just playing devil's advocate here. The look on Corey's face is like, you're a fucking fan, bro. Like, you think I'm going to remember you, dude?
Well,
Are you serious?
And knowing fucking Corey, he hates Billy Corgan because his name's too similar to Corey.
Yeah, no, you're right.
That's the only
Who's
reason.
this other Corgan?
Corgan?
Get those letters out of your mouth.
When it
somewhere
comes
in the
down to-
recesses of my memory are me, you, Marilyn Manson, and Vern Troyer.
Really?
Yes, somewhere.
I don't have that one.
Yeah.
I don't have that
So,
one.
but
Dream
I'm
blunt
saying I might have
rotation.
made that one.
I do love the obvious thing here of Corey doesn't remember it because he's not sober. I mean, we can't belabor that point. Like every time we talk about him, we have to be like, this guy is not sober.
Yeah.
Or he's Someone else did use California sober to describe Corey as well.
He is not.
Dude.
Is California sober doing mountains of cocaine all the time?
Could
It's
be.
getting close.
I get the you're the rat in the cage guy. What do you get?
Allegations.
He
Do they call you
knows.
by like a character name? or?
No, it's changed so much through the years. I mean, through the years, it started when I was a little kid. You got to realize I was being recognized before people knew who the hell I was. So I was.
Now, to harken back, this is bizarre where he won't answer this question.
The second that he was asked that question, he knew what he wanted to say, but he doesn't want to say those things because they're embarrassing, and he wants to seem cool.
Yeah, we watched a different podcast. It was a similar thing.
They see me, they holler it across the street. Is there any one phrase from your past that you keep hearing more than others?
I've been in 18 #1 films. There's a lot of iconic moments, so everybody's got their thing. Everybody's got their favorite.
Dude, that is such a Corey answer.
And he always refuses to answer.
It's a Goonies thing, and he hates that that's the only thing anyone knows him from, too.
And
you know that's probably what it is.
But nowadays, it's probably even morphed into more of a goofy-ass mistake.
Today Show.
Yeah.
Oh, are you that kid?
I knew who you were.
No, before that.
I'm saying I have the same experience.
What do you mean?
What I'm saying is I knew who you were without even knowing who you were because you were on TV.
Right. But you
time when
didn't know
being
my
on TV
name is my point. Like
right.
In the beginning, I was just on everything,
Get
right?
needed.
So people just go, "Oh, you're that kid."
Ubiquitous is the word.
Yeah, okay, there you go. You've been around.
Corey is so annoyed right now.
It's we've talked about this many times. It's the aura that he brings to every conversation that he has, where it's combative. Yeah.
He's combative and defensive all the time.
Yes.
Like, it's not like everyone gets defensive here and there, and everybody can be combative, but he is like always in that state 100% of the time.
That said, that quickly shifted into, "Aren't you the kid from The Shining?" Which I got a lot, by the way, from I think 7 years old until 10 or 11, right around the time Friday the 13th came out. That's when I finally started to solidify, like, oh, he's that guy. But before that, everybody thought I was Danny Lloyd, and it got so bad that it actually got to the point where I started signing autographs as Danny Lloyd, because I was like, fine, whatever, I'll just say I'm Danny Lloyd, here you go. But that's because they didn't know who the hell I was, and I didn't even know how to sign my own name, and wasn't really sure if my name was my name yet. So,
so all of that's a lie.
Yes. Yeah. There's this is the start of a recurring thing in this interview, because this is going to morph into how he actually was almost going to be in The Shining. And then the recurring thing we're going to hear about is all these parts that he was actually supposed to get.
The other thing about that is I was up for that role. So it was very ironic that,
Did you not get the role or it just didn't work out?
It was down to the two of us. It was supposed to be me originally. I had the offer. But then on second thought, they were like, he's just a little bit young, because I was like a year younger than him.
Were there any movies that you tried out for that ended up being classics in the 80s that you didn't get?
No. I mean, pretty much. Yeah.
Jim, you scamp.
I did want to put that in there.
You little scamp.
Because, I guess, and again, we're Jim and them fair. To be fair, The Shining came out in 1980. So would that be considered like a movie he was up for in the 70s? Is that his delineation on why he could say there wasn't a part he went out for and didn't get?
I don't think when she asked that question, he thought, well, let me make sure I'm just thinking of my exact 80s movies. Ooh, right on the line. Oh, I don't know if I should count it. Oh.
He really had a rough year, huh? Because that clip was from a year later from this one. He looked like a fucking completely different person.
Yeah, you're right. Because this interview was recorded, it was like a year ago this time.
Yeah.
And then this other interview I cut in was, basically around holiday season. But let me take that back. Also, this clip may come up again within this interview.
Yeah, so it was supposed to be me originally. I had the offer. But then on second thought, they were like, he's just a little bit young, because I was like a year younger than him.
Were there any movies that you tried out for that ended up being classics in the 80s that you didn't get?
No.
Got 'em all.
I mean, pretty much, yeah. Same haircut, same big wheel, same everything, but just a little
Did you
bit
audition
too
for
small.
Kubrick?
I must have. I would have to have, yeah.
You don't remember?
I don't remember. I mean, I would've been fine.
What a great lie.
Fair enough. He was like 7 or 6.
It's believable that maybe he wouldn't remember.
You'd remember if you auditioned for someone.
Well,
you wouldn't just be like, oh, I don't know. I'm not sure. I just wound up there.
Yeah, I mean, he does remember all the other details except that part. I must have. I don't. I assume I did.
I surely must have for this story to be true.
Okay, right. That's pretty young. Yeah.
Yeah, but the point is that I almost got it. It was supposed to be mine. I was a little bit too small, a little bit too young. So then 2 years later, this movie comes out, and it's like the biggest thing ever.
Tell me some movies that you could have done, should have done, didn't do.
Okay, so I think the worst one,
Here we go.
if we're going to go right to the heart of the matter, and this is probably going to piss off
The
some
Matrix.
people, but, hey, sometimes you got to do it. But
Have you ever pissed off anyone?
A lot of people, a lot of times. Honesty is never really a welcomed trait in most circles.
I find it admirable.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? That he's like, Yeah, I piss people off all the time. It's just because I tell the truth so much. What can I say?
He's
I had a
stealing
whole
from us.
movement. I had a whole movement about truth.
He hears us being too fair, and he's like, "I'm just too true. I'm just so true."
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's ballsy. It's risky, but I have no choice. But
You've gone too far.
No, it's not even that. It's that, honestly, Billy, when I decided to be sober, when I got clean back
Immediately
in
tells a lie.
1990, kind of made the identification of this is who I am. This is a life choice. And even though I had a relapse in 93, that was short-lived, but I still kind of made that solemn oath to myself that if I'm going to be able to do this, the only way to be able to stay sober, to stay clean, to be okay inside is to literally create a constitution, which is that I am going to be continuously honest in all of my dealings.
I'm going to do something way out of character for Jim and them. I'm going to nitpick Corey Feldman for a minute. If you can allow me this grace, guys. Now,
Jim, play a sounder. This is too rare of a moment.
The Jim and them Corey nitpick.
It's possible we've missed this, but we noticed this in his recent Mario Lopez interview. He's been saying he's been sober since 1990. Like, that's been his thing we've always heard. But then in the Mario Lopez interview, we did hear him mention that he had a relapse. Although in that interview, he said he had a relapse 5 years later. In this interview, he's saying he had a relapse 3 years later. Now, I could almost, on one hand, I'd be like, oh, maybe he's just mixing it up. But then again, if it's something like getting sober, it feels like that's the one thing where you're like, I've been sober for 1,200, like, the days and hours almost.
Yes, because you're constantly craving Coke.
Yeah.
That's your mistake right there. He's not sober. So he has no number to remember. So the further he gets away from his fake relapse time, the easier it is just to say, 3-ish years.
Again, not to point out the obvious, but to harp on this, but this is what you come here for. His time frames are completely off on this whole sober issue.
Literally create a constitution, which is that I am going to be continuously
All right, listen to this.
honest in all of my dealings. I have to be. I have no choice but to be forthcoming. Because if I don't, then, what is any of it worth? We're only as good as our word. And if all of a sudden you're one of those people that, oh, well, I can go back to this interview and you said exactly the opposite, you won't find that with me.
Were there any movies that you tried out for that ended up being classics in the 80s that you didn't get?
No.
Why would he say that? You can make that point without saying those words.
It's so funny. And dude, that's honestly like him saying that there's no way. And I think he did this in another interview as well, where he's like, that's why you can't go back in my history. Every time I'm asked a question, you're going to find the same answer. Because that was like zero research. Like, if I wanted to sit down and pull up all these different things, I probably could. But that just happened to be one I already had. If you really wanted to break it down, I'm sure you could find a million of those.
To say you can't find interviews where I'm contradicting myself, dude, you're inviting my boy Jim to just to lick his chops
To
and
nitpick.
rub his hands together.
The thing about that is you're a person who's very skilled at artifice, right?
I don't know. Explain that.
Well, isn't that the metal of being an actor?
I guess.
At a very young age, somebody identified you could act.
I don't think they knew that. I think that it was the voice. They heard my voice. At least this is the way it was told to me, was that I was in the rooms while my sister was in the Mickey Mouse Club at Disney. I was in the rooms, whatever, being a kid and goofing around. And they were like, who's that lady next door? Tell her to shut up. We're trying to shoot in here. And my mom would say, no, it's not a lady. It's my son.
That's so funny he would even tell that story, that he would even own himself like that. Tell that fucking smoking, that lady who clearly has been smoking for 20 years to shut the fuck up.
Right. He's notoriously has like a deep voice until now.
No, that's my son. That's not
I'm
a
sexy
lady.
lady.
He's got a voice like he's an older woman or something, but it's a kid.
Fortuitously, you can act. So what I'm saying is,
Luckily.
you could be acting. You could be acting now, and most people would not be able to denote it.
Well,
He doesn't
I'm
like
not
that.
accusing
I
you
would
of
hope.
that.
I would hope not.
Okay, well, that gets to my little questions here. We'll get
So now we're getting deep.
Now he's
because
getting
at
the
the end of
ire.
day, people will think.
Yeah, Corey
that
doesn't
about
like
you
him
as an
saying
actor,
that.
And that's a downside. That is actually a
It does
downside.
get to one of these magical questions. I
Okay,
have.
fine. Then I'll
Okay,
save it.
Well,
Are
so
you a
what was one
liar?
of the movies that you said was going to make people mad?
What's Eating Gilbert Grape?
Okay.
So I was actually cast to play Leonardo DiCaprio's role.
Okay.
I never saw the film
Retarded
because
guy.
I'm still bitter leaf in that one. But yes, I was originally cast
Did
for
they
that
push you
role.
out or?
Johnny Depp. He was cast after I was, and apparently whispered into the producer's ear that he wasn't fond of me and thought that I was.
Was there a reason he wasn't fond of you?
Yeah, he said I was a junkie and that he didn't work with junkies.
Classic Johnny Depp W. That's
Well-
a dub for Johnny.
And I mean, the obvious thing here, I saw a few people mention this. If this was true, if there was even a piece of this that was true, he would have said this story a million times already. The only thing I could guess is that he's seen that Johnny Depp is kind of, even though he's like kind of back in favor, he like fell out of favor a bit with all the Amber Heard stuff, even though people kind of rallied back around him. So he just sees it as maybe a potential easy target that's big enough, but also would probably not really bother to respond to anything he's saying.
Well, and I also fully believe that Johnny whispered in someone's ear and said, "Get that junkie out of here."
Yeah,
so it's
yeah.
tough.
Yeah.
Like I don't believe it, and I do believe it.
I believe that, but I don't believe they would cast him. I don't believe they would. I believe he would audition for it.
Well, but also like River Phoenix died in Johnny's club or whatever.
Corey's
and,
going to
like,
bring that up.
okay.
Corey does bring that up.
Yeah.
Well, you know what it might be too is that like Corey's on these fucking like bedroom podcasts all the time. These fucking dog shit shows. We're always clowning
Yeah.
on him for being on these shows. I think he views this as like a real thing. Like he's
Yeah,
like, oh,
you're right.
Billy Corgan, a known guy. It's still a podcast, but he's like, look at this room I'm in. I think he's viewing this as like a real interview. So he's like, I need to come up with something meaty.
I think he's conflating with just auditioning, that he keeps trying to oversell it. Like, oh, I had the role, they cast me. I'm sure he went into a room and read from the script for it.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah. I had the part. It was a done deal. And then Johnny Depp shit on my dreams.
And this is the first time I remember ever telling this story, so I'm sure I'm going to get hung by this one. But yeah, anyway.
Were you using drugs or?
No, I was sober. I'd just gotten sober. I'd just gotten out of rehab. I'd turned my life around. And in fact, was trying to help River at the time,
Right.
yeah, here we
who
go.
he was running with at the time.
Right.
As we all know, River's last night on Earth was at Johnny's establishment.
He basically killed him. He called me a junkie and killed my friend.
He killed my friend. It was the second worst thing he ever did. The first was when he got me fired from Gilbert Grape.
As you can imagine, there was a bit of a thorn in the side on that one. I had not been pushed out and done that role, who knows what would have happened from
Yeah.
that point forward.
'Cause that was kind of one of those watershed moment movies, right?
that gave Leonardo his first nomination.
Yeah.
No, I mean there was a bitter tea there, but
Yeah, I
that
hear
said, I mean you don't hang on those. You get past them, and then ironically, just a couple years later, I also was up for Titanic, so there was kind of a double banger with Leo.
What?
That's
but-
him. You know what happened here? Here's my belief, and this is exactly what happened. It's my belief, and it's also an absolute fact. Is he went into this, he concocted this What's Eating Gilbert Grape story beforehand. He's like, yeah, that's what I'll say. I'll say Johnny Depp got me fired from it. Then he started rocking and rolling with the story, and he felt even more confident. And he's like, and you know what? I also was up for Titanic.
That was okay, because that one I wasn't as close. Like I was up for it. I read for it. I know that I was in the contention somewhere. Another one was Lord of the Rings.
1994.
I was actually up for.
Dude, because he's still rolling too. Now he's also Lord of the Rings he was up for. He's up for
I
Sean
was going to be the
Astin's
world's
part.
tallest man. I was going to be Sauron himself. I was going to be the Witch King.
Another one was Lord of the Rings. I was actually up for Sean's role, and I heard I got pretty close on that as well. And then
That would have been a perfect
kinda-
movie for you.
It would have.
Why
although
would
I
he-
couldn't gain the
Why would he say
Got
that?
him.
Yeah.
Bow, 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 bow.
Yeah, was that a height joke, you think?
Yeah.
You're like 5'3".
That would be great. I don't know why he's Corey too.
Because he kind of sings like Corey that way. Corey Feldman voice.
So I'll give him that. He did a great job aesthetically being
Yeah.
able to add that weight. It's something I cannot physically do.
I wish I had
Even
your.
if-
I like how Corey is. He's like, yeah, I didn't get it, but I never could have gotten as fat as Sean Astin. So
Yeah.
I guess good for him.
He really does own him.
So I'll give him that. He did a great job aesthetically being
Yeah.
able to add that weight. It's something I cannot physically do.
I wish I had
Even
your.
if you
You're
want,
telling my.
it's-
This is my dream. I wish I
Sorry,
could
I'm
eat whatever I
sorry.
want.
I can teach you. I could change your entire thing. I mean, literally, I could. Just because I've been doing it my whole life, but...
What would you change?
Well, I don't know that much about you, so I'd have to ask a few questions. But what are your diet? What's your diet?
I'm a vegan.
You are a vegan?
Yeah,
And you still struggle?
Oh, yeah. I even own a vegan
Wait, that's all he was going to do. He
That's
needed
all-
questions. He's
yeah.
like, oh, wait. I was just going to say be a vegan.
Yeah. He didn't expect a follow-up question. He was just talking shit.
I did not know that.
north of Chicago.
Wow. Well, good job.
We'll have
on
to have
that.
you come in
I would
sometime.
love to. Maybe when we're playing.
Are you vegan? I thought I read that, but I never
I'm
trusted anything I read.
vegetarian, 80% vegan. I still do butter because I like cooking with butter. It gives the authenticity of the
I grew up in
taste.
Chicago. It's all about the butter.
Exactly, right? I don't do milk at all anymore, so I cut out all the dairy mostly.
Yeah.
But I do cheese and butter. Those are my two cheats.
Okay.
Yeah.
dairy.
I like that. I think Billy Corgan was like, all right, this is where you're starting to realize I'm talking to a fucking moron now.
Yeah.
Because so you're not a vegan, basically.
80% vegan.
Yeah.
Just a couple dairies in there.
And he talked
You
about
guys already make the California vegan joke? Did I miss that?
Yeah.
Good.
Well, do you drink? Do you drink alcohol?
I do not.
Wow.
Stone cold sober. Pretty
you're
much
still a
for
fat
You
piece
are
of shit.
you are an anomaly, literally. an
vampire is the word.
anomaly. You said it, I didn't. Okay.
Billy Corgan keeps trying to talk about the joke, and Corey, to tell the story of the joke, has to basically tell the story of his whole musical career.
So
Such
the
chemistry.
joke, the key line is it I'm not the joke you are, or
Clearly never heard the song.
So in that song, I'm sorry, I didn't get past the train horn.
It's amazing how wrong he gets it.
I'm not the
Oh,
joke
my God. I love that.
Is it not me, you?
Corey can't remember. He's like, yeah, that is the
Actually,
line.
that's good.
is the line.
Can we get back in the studio?
Actually, line is smoking at the pocket talking about it too.
Say that.
no. But what's the key line? Sorry. What,
Oh,
no, the actual
the
lyric.
Joke, the joke is on you. Hope
Sorry,
you like
this is my bad paraphrase.
Hope you like my drip from the tomatoes you threw.
Right.
That's the opening line.
But are
Corey's
you
like,
are you
okay.
are you doing some kind of modern life commentary? Like I'm the mirror.
I don't, well, maybe a little bit, but I don't think it's really about that. It's more about literally hitting it on the head of. So we were touring last year, and look, obviously I've been doing this for a very long time. I've been putting out music for 35 years. And it's been a very slow build. I like to say I'm an overnight success after 35 years. But, literally it was like nobody cared. And I was just making these songs.
I know we've made this joke, but like no one, they still don't care. I don't know. What is this success he keeps trying to sneak in?
I had so many doors slammed in my face. Oh, you're an actor. Nobody will take you seriously. Nobody will ever take you seriously. And that
Is
was
this
just
coming from the music business?
Yes,
Or?
from the music business, the film
People
business.
on the
Everybody
street,
just
my
wanted to
friends.
not give me that shot.
Jim and them.
It was very, very
Colleagues,
known.
my
Do you feel
closest
it's
family
something
members.
not well.
kind of because I've been through this, and I'm not trying to project my shit on you, but do you feel at some point it almost becomes like strangely personal?
Yeah. Oh, it was very personal.
And by the way, I'm asking in this context, and I hope you understand the gist of the way I'm asking. When you feel like it's personal, I oftentimes find myself wondering, what's the crime?
Right.
So, like, what crime have you committed?
Oh,
Being
well, a bunch
Oh.
actually.
Yeah.
I have a wiki page, and like a big part of it is the allegations on me.
Let that question sit for a minute, because look at his reaction, because he doesn't know where to go with that. Like Billy Corgan's talking about like a figurative crime, but Corey's like, oh no, is this a sting?
Yeah,
What are you, a cop?
Throws
Why
ninja
would you
vanish
do this
and
to
runs
me?
out.
If I ask you if you're a cop, you have to tell me, or else it's entrapment.
You know the rules, Billy.
A child of Hollywood. I mean, that's the crime. The crime is there's what I've come to realize. I don't know if you got to see my film when I put it out, My Truth.
I've not seen it.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's hard to find since we don't allow it to be out there anymore because it was stolen, it was pirated. and it
I hope
was,
you saw my film that's impossible to see. Did you get a chance that one night? Were you in the room?
I love that no one asked the question of, he's saying we can't put it out because it was stolen. What does that mean? What is the rationale there?
given out.
I did
for
read
free
about
and,
that. I
and
didn't
all
see
of
it.
this stuff. I mean, it was one of the most heinous, horrendous, horrible receptions of a cry for help that I've ever seen in my life, and Hollywood should be ashamed of it. But
That's your crime.
You didn't release it
well,
to
my
anybody.
crime was that I was a kid who was molested, who was given drugs, and
Wait,
so
I
what
thought
do
he
they
wasn't
do to those
molested.
kids? They make sure that they don't.
I mean, his movie was mostly about how Corey Haim was molested.
Basically, you're, the unsung hero. You're everybody's favorite. You're the future of Hollywood. You're the golden child, and then you turn 18, and it's like, oh, remember when he had a career? And you're like, wait, what? 6 months ago, I was the golden child. What happened?
I'm in Meatballs
Oh,
4.
when he got arrested for drugs, his career's over. Like that, you have to realize I'm coming from the 80s where Michael Jackson tells me my song, What's Up
Love
with
this
the
story.
Youth, is going to be a #1 hit. I played it for him in the car.
Yep.
You know, he
we
said,
know it.
this song is incredible, Corey. This is a #1 song. If I walk this into Tommy Mottola right now at CBS Records, I can get you a #1 song.
What I love about this story is that we here at Jim and Them have heard it so many times that I am literally in the car when it happens.
Yeah, no, it's like a memory of mine.
I feel
it's not even
all
a story
three of us.
anymore.
Yeah.
I picture it's like an old 70s like boxy car, and we're in the back. We're all three of us just sitting in the back, and we're just like in awe of Corey Feldman and Michael Jackson up in the driver's seat and shotgun.
We're all doing cocaine with everyone in there.
Yeah,
in the
we're all
car,
doing
including
coke.
Corey.
And then the song plays, and then Michael just hits eject after like the first 30 seconds. And he's like, Corey, that's a goddamn hit. I could walk in to Tommy Mottola's office, CBS Records, and we could just make it, we could blow up right now. And
I want to do it on my own, Michael. I want to do it alone.
It's so funny. I've heard it so many times, even though I know it's not true. To me, it's true now. It happened.
it's
It's
real
in
to
my
me,
memory.
damn it.
Yeah.
And I said, thank you anyway.
How old were you at that?
18.
Okay, that's pretty Eddie.
Yeah. And I was like, thank you, but no. Because #1, I'm your friend. And I don't want you to think I'm just another guy trying to get some out of you.
Which would have been everybody in the world at that point.
Exactly. And #2, if I do it that way, then you're the Michael Jackson protege. I'll be a one-hit wonder. Everybody will compare me to you for
Isn't
the
that
rest of my
so
life.
funny?
And then what?
Isn't that so funny
That's
that
what
he
you
would
have to
say
tell
that?
yourself.
The idea of being like, but then they just be comparing me to Michael all the time. But it's like he now openly, he's putting that in our brains
His
now.
entire life, ever since he started music, he started
Yeah.
dressing like Michael Jackson,
Yeah.
dancing around with him, and hanging out with him.
I couldn't handle that. I couldn't be compared to Michael that often. How would I handle that?
You know, where do you go from there as an artist? You're
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
So I thought, if I'm going to do this, I've got to do it myself. It's got to be legitimate, and I've got to earn my stripes. And if that means playing holes for the next 20 years,
Yeah.
then so be it. I'll play the holes for the next 20 years, which brings us up to
The
where we
shitholes.
were. And by the way, Howard Stern just, smashed it like a pumpkin.
Remember this question was asking about the song The Joke, by the way. Like, keep
Hey,
that in
what
mind.
does the name mean? And he's like,
Yeah.
well,
With everything by bringing me on his show with
Smashed it
that
like a
song
pumpkin.
that Michael guessed would become #1 and making a joke out of it.
Okay, but
making a fraud out of
Why did that happen? Sorry.
it. Because he said, hey,
I
man,
don't know
you come
any
on
of
my new
that.
show. And I said, well, I'm trying to push this new single. Is it what's the format? I'd never seen the show. I just assumed he's like any other radio
Just like he's
host.
never
Now,
seen Jim in there.
I did his radio show prior to that where everybody had warned me, Howard Stern, he's really mean, he's really cruel, he'll do really awful things. And I was like, oh God, I was terrified. But Sam kept saying, you got to do it. I was very good friends with Sam Kinison. He'd say, you got to do it, you got to do it, you got to do it. Okay, fine. So I did it when he died. So the day that Sam died was the first time I did Howard, and Howard was very sweet.
If you're keeping track, that's yet another dead friend that Corey Feldman. All his friends, all his best friends have died, so they're not around to tell you if they were or were not friends with him.
I
to
wonder-
dispute every word out of his mouth.
Why would he be close friends with Sam Kinison?
Yes,
What would
why?
they have in common?
That's true. What would they be hanging out doing with each other?
I mean,
It was very warm. We had an immediate bond.
Yeah.
And he said, come out to New York, come do the TV show too, it'll be great. So I'm going with the idea that he's been really sweet, he's been great. I came in through Sam, so he knows not to mess with me, everything will be fine. And I get there, and they said, we're gonna do a skit. It's called Club Howie, and you're gonna perform, but we're gonna act like it's Club MTV, but I'm dressed as Right Said Fred, and so it'll be kind of funny, but it'll be like you performing, and the performance won't be funny, it'll just be you performing.
Sure.
right, but nothing.
Okay, I can go with that.
Nothing
So
about the performance is funny except you. Like
Yeah.
the rest
Well,
is like
the midget.
it's what he told you.
The
It's what
rest
he
is
told
funny
you.
though. Like everything happening around him is funny.
Right, but that's what he
you're
told
right.
him.
Yes. I do love, because we've always had this question of like, how did he get him to do it? You know what I mean? So at least we're hearing some version of that from his point of view.
I do it, and I walk out on stage, and there's a midget in a hula skirt. And there's guys passing blow-up dolls in front of me and acting like they're mentally impaired. And like, I'm going, what is this? What is this? This mockery. So they took my music and they made it a form of mockery. And that was the initial launch. But all of a sudden now Howard put this whole other spin on it to make it a joke.
Right.
Fast forward to...
Do you think...
I've been fighting that stigma on and off.
But
right,
just because I don't know the moment. But in hindsight, do you think it was just thought they were having a bit of fun?
Billy Corgan, I mean, he's trying, man. He's trying to get this back on track.
It's
he's
great.
Like,
yeah.
He's like, where are we going? I asked about the joke. Now we're in 1997, fucking talking about being on the Howard Stern show.
You released this song, what, 4 months ago? We're in 97 now?
Well,
Okay.
and what I love about this, because Billy Corgan is a known just like perfectionist musician guy. It's clear that he tried to listen to 2 seconds of his music, didn't listen to any of it because he doesn't know the line from the joke. He doesn't know anything about it. Like, he couldn't listen to his music. It, like,
because
physically
he's
made
probably
him
like,
ill.
he was like, if I listen to this, I'm going to hate this guy's guts. So I'm better to go in this ignorant and just ask him about it and hear it from the horse's mouth.
One of the producers who wrote that sketch was Mark Cronin.
I love
Mark
this.
Cronin went on to pretend to be my friend
I love
years
this.
later when he approached me and said, hey, we've got this new concept. We're going to put 7 legends, icons together in a house, in a home, and watch what happens when we put these amazing people together and see how they bond, how they form a friendship. And
What was
how they
that
get
show
through
called? I
life.
can't remember.
The Surreal Life.
Yeah.
Which, of course, was not putting 7 icons in a house, but let's put 7 guys we used to think were cool in a house and make fun of them.
That guy is a fucking legend, by the way. He got Corey twice.
Yeah.
He was like, you know what? Hey, this performance is going to be great. This is going to be great for your music career. You need to expose yourself to an adult audience. Howard Stern has a huge audience. It's going to be amazing. Yeah. And that completely crashes and burns. And even if you listen to Corey, that is the main like ground zero of his music being thought of as a joke. And then a few years later, he's like, look, I know we had this whole thing with Howard Stern. I'm going to make it up to you. We're going to get you in this reality show. You're a legend. We're going to get some other legends together. It's going to be amazing.
He's the original Jim in there. He's just playing a long con. He's been annoyed by this fucking... He's probably his dealer or something. He's been annoyed by his guy this whole time. He's like, you know what? I got a hookup for you. You're going to be with some legends. Brigitte Nielsen, Vern Troyer, Flavor Flav.
Flavor Flav. It's going to be great.
I can't wait to watch you guys bond.
So they didn't tell us what the real goal of the show was. In fact, they promised us to the moon and back that it wasn't that show.
Yeah.
And we'd never seen reality TV before. This had never happened.
That was kind of in a way, that was like one of the first.
It was the first. Neither
I
did
kind of remember.
Well, it wasn't on.
Yeah.
So it was like when that stuff launched, I'm sure you would have been busy doing more important things, and as would I.
But to be fair to you,
except you weren't. You just said you were on the show.
You were literally on the show.
Not only that, but it's about frankenbiting, which is what they call it in reality television.
Can you explain? I don't know that term.
Frankenbiting is where they basically set you up by saying, okay, you're going to answer these questions on an interview much like this, but we're going to deliver the questions to you, and you have to repeat the questions back to us to get the answers so that we know where you're at for editing points and we know how, what point in the conversation we're at and blah, blah, blah. So just repeat the questions back. Now they have you saying their statement of whatever it is that you're talking about.
So you're agreeing with it,
Correct.
even if you don't agree with it.
And then
Jim,
they
who
cut
would
out
ever
the
do
fact
that?
that it was ever a question.
Come on.
And now
Who
it
would ever
becomes
do
your
that to poor
statement.
Corey?
How could someone do that?
I just suck at everything I do. It's a complete mystery why anybody would pay money to see it.
At the beginning of each episode, I'm Corey Feldman. I'm an icon. I'm an artist. I'm more than an icon. I'm an industry. I never said those words.
He just said that. That's not... They didn't have to cut that up to make it sound like he said that. You know he said that.
Let's stay on the positive for a minute.
I like it. So let me go back to, since we were
The
kind of going
Goonies.
naturally to where the joke came from.
So remember, we're talking about the fucking joke. I actually trimmed
Dude, it's been like an hour.
and I trimmed a bunch of shit out of that too.
Okay, that takes me exactly where I want to go.
So yes, there was that kind of always that that little knife in my side, right? Ever since Howard Stern, I knew the beast I was fighting. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go make a whole other band, not put my name on it, not put my face on it. It's gonna be called Truth Movement.
At least when we saw it, it was Corey Feldman in the Truth Movement, right? When he was on.
Then after that, it was Corey Feldman Band. Like his name has been the biggest part of all of them.
But from a thematic thing, when you're singing, you know, again, remind me of the lyric because I don't want to.
Well, this is different. No, so I'm going back still.
Still going back.
Okay, my apologies.
We're at 2010 here. So in 2010, I put out this very poignant, very powerful album that's very similar to the sound of a Pink Floyd album. So then I go back into the solo stuff, and then I'm like, okay, now I kind of have the license to do what I want. Now I can be creative and.
Did it work?
It did. Well, yeah, Ascension Millennium went viral, and, you know, that was my first hit on MTV, and it was like, you know, 2 million views in like a day or something. It was great. I mean,
there's no way that's true. There's no fucking way that's true.
Yeah, well, and he's just so clueless because we brought this up as well, mymtv.com or something, and we're like, oh, well, it's a goof. He doesn't understand what's going on. He's being made fun of, like, and that's his best song.
Yes, it was so viral that they didn't play it on the channel. It just went viral on the website. I love that he pitches it as like, yeah, you know, I did my time in the dirt. I was with the Truth Movement. I've earned the right to be solo now. And now he rolls out the fucking Corey's Angels. Imagine thinking that there's a debt you've paid where you've earned the right to, to do Corey's Angels.
He got the dead weight of those musicians off his back. Now he can just hang out with dumb bitches that play tambourine.
Yeah, right.
I was like, okay, we did it. You know, here we are. And the video was cool because it was a breakthrough video, you know, back when they did breakthrough videos. And, you know, it was a one continuous moving shot that never had a break, that never had any kind of stop or edit.
So anyways,
so people were very impressed by the ingenuity.
But take me back to the joke. You're just,
I know, I get caught. I know, I'm sorry. I'm like that, but I always will come back. So anyway, so I went through a series of, okay, now we got top 40 Billboard hits.
Okay,
now
so we're still 20 years away from the joke.
He does not have top 40 hits.
God, you're so nitpicky today.
We've been over this a million times. We've looked up the charts. He is in the top 40 indicator chart, which means like it got plays on the radio like in the nation. It doesn't mean you're on the charts. That's not what you're thinking of when you say top 40.
On the Today Show, we got the most views ever in the history of the Today Show. These big
All right, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Moments,
almost
artists would be
correct.
like,
It's like a huge moment for my music was the Today Show. Why, Corey? Why was it huge? Because it was so good.
This is a great still. This is that feel when Jim and them nitpicks.
Oh, yeah. When he keeps sucking.
And
when Jim starts nitpicking and then keeps sucking.
You know, with him calling us out a couple weeks ago and talking about how we make a mockery of everything that he does.
Who the hell are you people? You disgusting scumbags. Okay, so the name of the show is called Jim and Them.
I almost wonder now if he does go into an interview, or maybe he will never do a podcast again. But if next time he goes in an interview, he's definitely going to be like, well, if I say this, Jim and them are going to say this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to hear that goddamn horn again. I can't handle the horn anymore. I hear it in my nightmares.
Holy shit. And I'm still going,
You're definitely cracking the zeitgeist.
right, but am I going to get away with it? You know, so the moment that Today's Show was over, every headline, Corey Feldman's bizarre performance. Corey Feldman was terrible. What's wrong with this guy? You know what I mean? It was like they just nailed me to the cross. And the more they nailed me to the cross, what I found, the bigger the reception, the bigger the audience, the more people wanted to love me. Because they saw
everyone.
This is gaslighting. This motherfucker. And people, honestly, not to pat ourselves on the back, but this is why we're in the trenches.
Yeah.
We're champions of truth. But this is why we're in the trenches, because I don't understand why people don't post him up on this. I'm not even asking Billy Corgan to be a dick. I'm not even saying you don't have to try to do like a gotcha moment. All you have to do is like maybe ask a couple questions. Like, wait a minute, why are you saying this? What are you talking about? This doesn't quite make sense. What do you mean? Like, he's literally trying to say, yes, we get mad because we keep pointing out bad things, But all that keeps happening is the audience of his gets bigger and people like him even more.
Yep, people
That's
love
money
him.
in his pocket. He keeps getting all that money from everybody hating him, and it's like, no, dude, no, you don't. You don't get anything.
Yeah, he's selling out lunchrooms around the nation.
Literally. I actually didn't sell that one out, though.
I mean, he's playing in lunchrooms.
He is playing.
He was pretty mad when the camera guy pointed at the people in the room.
Or they heard me. They liked the music just for what it was.
Yeah.
And it was like, you can't tell me that I hate this music. You can't tell me I hate this performance. F you. I like it. And I'm going to stand by that.
Yeah.
And that became a thing all in and of itself, which is that suddenly you've got like a real force of fans that are standing up in my favor saying, stop messing with this guy.
Okay.
And that started to change the schematics.
And the kids
now,
of those fans kept committing
last year
them
we
to
play Riot
homes. They
Fest.
said they have Alzheimer's
20,000
and dementia. And I'm like, no, they're my fans. They're like, they have lead poisoning.
And people showed up just to hear our set.
Yeah.
That was powerful. That made me go, oh, okay, this is working. Like, we're finally starting to get somewhere with this. Then shortly after that, they saw that it was working too. And their response was, let's take it back to making fun of him. Let's get rid of all this serious credibility.
So you think it started anew?
Ooh.
Yes, it did start anew.
There's a lot of hot takes on you on YouTube. I noticed that.
Exactly.
Yeah!
Woo! 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 Thanks, Billy.
Yeah, you boys.
Love 2 of your albums, Billy.
Tonight, Billy.
We don't gotta lie, we don't gotta fake. We cocoa bars, we don't pump no brakes. Wolfpack's new, but the rules stay the same. Expose fake legends, put them all to shame. Keep lying, Corey, keep crying. Jim and them, we stay thriving. Cocoa Bonds, out.